Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special meeting of Blyth Town Council. Do we have any apologies for absence? Is there any disclosure of interest or grants of dispensation? No. Right. Minutes for the previous council's committee meeting for approval. Special full council meeting on February the 18th, 2025. Those been read and approved. Agree. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
A special full council of the 27th of February, 2025.
Yeah.
The environmental committee, 27th of February. Actions outstanding from previous minutes. The verbal update for the project Shield and Lane. Do you have a verbal?
Yes, Project Shield, we've been informed that they were successful in receiving funding from the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner, however, not to the extent that they were hoping for. So they are still asking the Town Council to be mindful of a contribution towards Project Shield operating in Blyth. And at this stage, we're awaiting further information, a detailed breakdown of what the shortfall is, what exactly the funding requirements are for Blyth, and when that information is received, it'll come back to council.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Right, item 5, decision report to consider the formal submission of Blyth neighbourhood plan. Everybody's received a copy and have a read through. We'll hand over to Joanne.
Now you'll be sick of hearing me talk. So you'll all remember that we did the consultation on the draft plan at the end of last year, so November into January, and we didn't get lots of comments, but we did get some detailed comments back. And I mean, the council certainly did a lot of awareness raising. You know, that it was publicised in the residents' newsletter. It was on social media, on the website. There was 4 drop-in events, so there was certainly lots of opportunity for people to get involved. But there was detailed comments back from the county council, as you would expect, from Historic England, the Golf Club wrote back in Miller Homes, the Development Trust. We got a very late response from Blyth Development Trust, and also 9 residents. So there was response. Maybe everyone was just very happy with it. That's the positive way that we'll look at it. The plan's been updated to reflect the feedback that was received, obviously where appropriate. Also updated to reflect new national planning policy where relevant again. And the main changes to the policies were as a result of comments from the county council in terms of the implementation of those policies. So there weren't significant changes to the policies. It was more about how it was worded to make it clearer for them when they're implementing them. And the main sort of change around non-designated heritage assets. So we had split them. So we had the policies on the conservation areas, and then we had the historic, the non-designated heritage assets in each conservation area, in each policy. But the county council suggested they should all be taken out and included in one policy. So they're still all there, but they're just in a separate policy. So we've still got the 7 policies in the plan. The first one's about the town centre and the smaller centres. So that's remained, the 4 retail parks and the 5 smaller sort of parades of shops. Still got the policies on the conservation areas and the 62 non-designated heritage assets. You've still got the proposing the 30 sites as local green space, which is a vast area of land. Really, when you think about the size of the town, it's a really strong protection for green spaces in the town. And then 8 sites as protected open space, which is that sort of lower level of protection. And then you still have the 11, well, it added an extra community action, which are those things that sit outside the planning process. In terms of what happens next, because you'll be all eager to hear what happens next, we have sent the revised version of the plan to the county council already, so they could do a sort of high-level check to see whether a strategic environmental assessment or habitats regulations assessment is required. It shouldn't be. You know, I'm pretty much 99% sure that it shouldn't be required. Then once you've obviously approved the plan, it'll then be submitted to the county council alongside a document called a consultation statement, which sets out all the engagement that's taken place on the plan. And probably one of the most boring documents you will ever read, which is called a basic condition statement, which sets out how the plan and how the process of preparing the plan has met all the regulations. So really, if you're struggling to sleep, that's the document. And I think it's only the county council and the examiner that reads that. It's very boring. So then we'll submit the plan to the county council. They then need to undertake a further consultation. So there'll be a further 6-week consultation that they organise. And all of the comments that come in on the plan are then sent straight to an examiner who's appointed by the county council, but the town council will have to agree, that examiner. So it's an independent person. It's not someone with any sort of links to the county at all. They then look at all of the comments and they ask further questions of the town council and of the county council. So there could be an exchange of sort of emails, and we normally get a list of questions. So it's a written representation sort of examination. They can be held by a hearing, but I don't think there's been any in Northumberland that have been held as sort of hearing session. It's all done by backwards and forwards by email. And then the examiner prepares their report, which will make recommendations on potential changes to the plan. Then the county council look at the report, the town council will look at the report and see if they're happy with the recommendations. Then any changes that need to be made to the plan will be made by the county council. The county council organises the referendum and then the vote happens. So I would say in terms of time scales, we're probably still, the referendum would probably still be late this year. So there's still, although you're really far in the process, there's still, these next stages are very sort of procedural in terms of, you know, certain things have to happen at certain points. So that's in summary of where we are.
Has anybody got any questions?
Does the county councillors actually discuss the document, or is it just the officers?
It's the officers. I think the committees are probably made aware of that there's been the submitted plan, but it's the officers that look at the plan.
It used to go to scrutiny.
Yeah.
But at scrutiny, we all said, well, we can't do anything. There's nothing we can do about this at all. And, you know, who are we to override what somebody else has said? So that we'll just stop. I
think it's just presented for information, isn't it? I think maybe.
I don't think it's even that big now.
Right.
I think there might be a note that says this plan is going through the system, but we never never used to get to see it or anything.
Nothing comes through the council first.
No.
Just goes to officers.
Okay, everybody happy?
Yeah.
No more questions? Thank you so much.
Yeah, Rebecca, I just asked, thank Joanne Reid for the tremendous amount of work. All the comments that came back in, read through them all and see which ones are relevant, which one, that's quite a few of them. That are covered by the county plan. John Brothers, we don't have to include everything that's in the county plan in our plan, it's just where there's maybe differences. But it's still having to go through all those things and then check that we don't need to put them in.
I think a lot of people, when they came to the drop-in here, a lot of the concern was around sort of county level things. It's like, well, that's not an issue for the neighbourhood plan, or it's already in the local plan. And I think it's obviously confusing for people because they don't, you know, they just want to know, you know, why they can't build their extension, or why they can't do X, Y, and Z, or why is that there's a housing estate being approved next to them. And it's difficult to get that understanding of the two documents.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for everything and the support for the whole list.
You see, you're all waiting to read the basic condition statement though, aren't you? I'm so excited about it. I'll escape then.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Right. So can we all agree to formally submit the document now?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you, William.
Yeah.
Thank you, bye. Item 6, decision reports. To confirm the recommendation of the governance committee 3, the annual governance and accountability return for 2024-2025. The council's internal audit report.
I remember we've just been
We've
through.
done an audit,
There
so-
weren't any questions raised, so.
Nothing.
We just report you.
So I'll just read through them, tick them off. Annual internal audit report 2025. Annual governance statement 24-25.
That requires your signature, Chair. If I just mark that.
The blank check under there.
In there, please.
Accounting statements for 24-25.
This also requires your signature for that.
Nothing's done.
Thank you. Item 7, decision report to confirm the recommendation of governance committee with the appointment of the internal auditor 25-26, which was agreed at the. Right, item 8, decision report of the Armed Forces Covenant. Elaine, can you update us on this?
Yes, we've been discussing the idea of signing the Armed Forces Covenant and supporting that, and we have looked at the data relevant to Blythe that shows that compared to the national average, this is from the census 2021, there are a higher percentage of previous certain veterans in Blythe, particularly in the Isabella ward, which has 6.2% compared to the national average of 5.6%. However, it is noted that all of the wards are actually quite high in terms of previous certain veterans. So the proposals here to make the pledge for the Armed Forces Covenant, which is, I've got it in here, we signing the covenant, we must demonstrate 2 key principles: that no disadvantage for armed forces members in accessing public and commercial services, and special consideration where appropriate, particularly for those injured or bereaved. Also included in this report is an appendix that shows how we already commit to supporting the armed forces community, and also some suggested amendments there. Sorry, that what's highlighted in red is what we already do. And there's a suggestion here, which is that we consider offering the opportunity to nominate a mayoral cadet annually.
Any questions?
Good idea. Just one moment, is there any reason why Plessy wasn't included in the list?
The list was broken down through the census, and on the website it was classed as neighbourhood area rather than wards. So that was the information that I was able to pull out. It may have, I mean, you can see Coupin and Kitty Brewster are lumped together, and that's the way it was displayed as a sort of a neighbourhood area. It may be that Plessy's in with one of the others, but I didn't notice it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I can just clarify that, on the list of demolition areas, that showed on this one, for College Line. That will be in the list, look.
Okay, fine.
I've honestly seen, if I'd admit, I promised Malcolm that I would not cause any trouble, and I've sat through that. Knowing. And then you've got a loyal subject kicks off about it.
I was gonna raise it if John didn't.
And having Brian in.
Sure, thank you. How does, are we integrating this into the employment of Blythstown Council for the Armed Forces Covenant as well? So if you have an interview for a position, you as that pledge of the Armed Forces Covenant, you're gonna make sure they get a fair advantage and a definite interview. Are we gonna agree with that as well?
We would be looking to pursue the bronze level award for the Defence Employer Recognition Scheme. And at the moment, we don't do anything that precludes previous veterans from applying for jobs. You know, we welcome applications from anybody for jobs. There might be a slight word saying, we also welcome applications from veterans. But it would still need to meet the job description, person specifications to be eligible for an interview. If we were to pursue the silver award, then you would be specifically advertising with veterans agencies and specifically guaranteeing interviews.
Can we put that, when we like pledge that, yeah, that we will sort of work towards and use the silver to take that from people applying for positions within Blythetown Council?
I think we need to look at the bronze award first and then work our way up to the silver, because then there's a gold award as well. So, I mean, I haven't done the research thoroughly on the silver award, so I'd like to bring that back if you're wanting it brought back.
No,
I'd like to bring that back.
I would just like, say, as we've got a lot of veterans in the area, being a veteran myself, and usually I know you've got family of veterans as well, haven't you? And, I think it's only right we do, yes, we go for the bronze, but we do look like we act above our level. And put that pledge to people who are applying for it, or, and recognise those who, served our country. Anybody that applies for a job within Blythetown Council should get a fair whack of the stick, considering the, serve of the country.
That's something for council to consider.
We'll certainly take that back and look at the silver.
I just think because of inequalities, qualities and inequality, I think that should be placed on everyone. Yes, we have a lot of veterans and I know quite a lot of them. Who served years and years in the army and in the military, so, but I do believe that it's about equality. So, yes, they're given a fair chance, the same as everybody else.
But the pledge is from the silver is that anybody who has the qualifications and is a veteran, they guarantee the interview, and that's part of the silver pledge.
But they should be given an interview.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Kath.
Even in the bronze, those should be given an interview.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that we guarantee that.
Well, they're all
Can I just say, at this present time, we're looking at the bronze level, and then in the future, we can work up to the silver level. So today I'll be looking to moving forward on the bronze level, and then at the next meetings, we'll discuss further on the silver. If everybody's happy with that.
Yeah.
More than happy.
Can I just bring Daniel?
Yeah, just a separate question, Chair. How will we engage with the armed forces community once we've identified all of the percentages in each ward? But do we have a plan to keep communication with them? How do we engage with them?
One of the initiatives we're looking at bringing in is the mayoral cadet, and that will be directly engaging with the cadet organisations within Blyth. And establishing links with them. And we do already have links with them through the events that we organise, particularly through Julie. But it's just going to be looking at strengthening where we can.
Yeah.
There's no definitive plan apart from the mayoral cadet at this stage, but obviously trying where we can. Welcome ideas.
Yeah.
Just to come back, Chair, is that all right?
Yeah.
Just in terms of just going forward in engagement, I assume that we will look at other measures to engage with the to identify the ones who may want to get involved but don't actually attend these sessions, where the mayoral cadet will be in attendance. Just the opportunity, Chair, just to ensure that we get the representation out there, just so everyone's picked up, basically, no one gets that mind.
One more, Brian?
No, it's all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
Sean?
Just for the mayoral cadetry, how do we go about doing that? I mean, in fact, the army and the air force, let them choose somebody, they're all like separate organisations. So would we run a ballot or something to appoint them?
I've looked at how other councils organise their mayoral cadets, and it's generally done by contacting the cadet organisations and asking them to nominate somebody that they consider meets the requirements, as achieved whatever the qualification. Yes, they would nominate someone to be put forward, and then we would consider the nominations and have the decision on each of the applications.
Can I take copy and I'll take some?
That's exactly what the tendency does, they get in touch with the cadet forces, the army, the military, everything. They'll get in touch with them and then they will nominate someone to go forward for the award. It's lovely.
It is.
I
Brian?
was just gonna ask, you know, you say the mayoral cadet, could we have the deputy mayoral one as well, or?
I think that this present time we've just been looking at mayoral.
Just because, you know, we've got the army and air force,
Uh-huh.
we could pick one from each and then sort of decide if, you know, from there. Doing the favourite one, that's all I'm thinking.
Chair, sorry, Chair, I believe that the lieutenancy always does that.
Yeah.
They go around to all the cadets and then they'll actually pick one out of whoever.
Yeah.
It could be the Air Force, it could be the Army, it could be anything.
Because we've got the army and the air force.
But they don't go for a deputy, it's just the cadet itself that's to serve the
I'm just thinking if they can't attend, that's all, you know what I mean, that somebody else, like we do with the mayor,
Yeah.
the deputy mayor. I'm just,
One of
you
them
know,
too.
say if there's a holiday or, you know, if there's a thickness, basically still have somebody attend.
That's what you wanted to do, yeah?
I was just reminded that we are looking to sign this on the E-Day, so it's appropriate.
Yeah.
If everybody has any issues or any concerns or any comments to make about,
Sorry, can I just say, it's our V-Day celebration, which is the
Third of-
Saturday the 3rd.
Yeah.
That's when we're looking to sign it. We're very hopeful of it being signed early into the event, really, so.
sorry, thank you for that. Caitlin?
Sorry, just to clarify on that one, when you say sign it, who needs to sign it? Is it the mayor?
The mayor will be signing.
Absolutely. Perfect.
We are hopeful to have the commanding officer of the HMS, now let me see if I pronounce this right, Gallipoli, yes. So we're hoping to have him and it will be done in the presence of the Lord Lieutenant of Northumberland and perhaps the civic head, deputy civic head of Northumberland County Council.
Yeah.
Be tricky that, couldn't it?
You've clicked off.
Sorry.
The 3rd of May.
Because it's the local elections.
I would take the mayor's the mayor, whether.
Yeah.
The mayor continues
Well, the rest of
until,
us.
you know, yeah, the mayor continues until the start of the AGM.
The mayor's
We do, the 6th of May.
I don't start, John, I've been looking this day.
Now, I was great,
Don't let us lose.
remain councillors until the 6th of May.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Jeff, you don't have any expects not to be at the V-Day, like the rest of us that have to get the call.
They're not getting away that easy,
Wow.
Chair.
Well,
Yeah,
you're invited for a drink then.
Right, thank you.
Wow.
That concludes this part of the meeting. The date and time for the next annual meeting for the town council is Tuesday, the 13th of May, 2025. Any other business? None received. And now we move on to part 2. I'm afraid, gentlemen, can I ask you to leave?